What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Ball Talk with Boyd. I told you we would not be taking a long break in between episodes like last time, and I've lived up to the promise. I have a very special guest here today, one that I'm sure many of you are going to be excited about. I have a former Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver and Cincinnati coaching legend. I got Mike Martin on the show today. Mike Martin, how we doing, man?
What's going on, nephew? I'm good, man. Doing well. Man, let me tell you before we get started. Man, I'm so proud of you, man. You doing your thing. I'm really proud of you.
I appreciate that. I'm glad that you were able to join me, man. How's everything going?
Everything's going great, man. I'm up here in Chicago, doing what I do. Trying to make things happen for the young people.
There we go. So, okay. Let's talk about that now that we've already kind of started to get there. Let's talk a little bit about what you are currently doing for the young people in Chicago, in Cincinnati, and all those things.
Well, right now, my wife and I, we are the directors of a NFL flag football league. Last season, I think we had 26 teams, and my wife and I, we pretty much run it. We organize it, set up the whole thing, make it work. I'm also the new head football coach at Taft High School, all girls team, flag team. I'm the new head coach. Huh? So yeah, that's interesting. But we get some things going.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So nowadays that flag football, it's growing so rapidly, and that's something that you got involved in.
Fastest growing sports in the world today.
Woo! It's funny, when I first started working in the NFL with the New York Jets back in 2022, I remember there were so many people, my mom included, that was like, "Hey, I know you're doing this football thing, but there's this flag football thing is really getting legit attention right now, and you might want to look into that." And next thing I know, I'm seeing you running a flag football league with all these teams in it.
Yeah, when I saw it, and the CEO of the league is somebody that I worked with. And I was doing Rivals. I was the national wide receiver coach for Rivals, so I was traveling all over the country ranking the receivers for colleges. And so he came to me, I think it was 2022, I believe, 2023, one of them. He said, "Hey, Mike, man, you should be doing flag." He said, "You should be doing." So he said, come to a convention, because they have a summit every year, flag summit every year. They bring all the league operators in. And one year my wife and I went. And we were on a bus with all the league operators, and they were telling us, "Man, you need to come on, man. You need to do this, Mike. You make an impact in wherever you are." And so we tried it out. First year we had no. This is what they said. They said, if you get over 50 kids in your first year, that's a good start. And I'm thinking, come on, man, this is me.
Yeah, I get you. What is up, Ball Talk with Boyd listeners? Sorry to stop you mid-episode for this reason. Mike Martin ended up having some technical difficulties throughout this episode, mainly in the beginning, so you won't have to deal with any more issues beyond this. But I just wanted to stop for a moment and tell you all that as he was telling about his journey as a flag football coach, and when we stopped, and then as we join back in, we'll be going back into him talking about his college and NFL journey. So there's a little bit of a jump there that you all missed as he was out on his connection, and I could hear him, but it wasn't recording. So I just wanted to let you all know that, fill you back to myself as I fill you in on what you all missed while his connection was cutting in and out. And then we'll pick up from there. Thank you so much for listening, and Ball Talk with Boyd out. Back to Spencer, myself, I guess. To just give you a little brief talking point about where he was at before he lost his connection, Mike Martin was talking about his time at University of Illinois, and he spent time there as a wide receiver. And his coach, he had a new coach. Actually, it was 1983 was when he was drafted, so early 80s, late 70s. The majority of the NCAA was using running offenses. They weren't passing the ball. West Coast offense wasn't really a thing yet. And he had a coach come in and completely shift that for the entire Illinois culture, as well as just Big Ten football. And a lot of people started adapting the play calling that they were using. So hopefully he's able to join us again soon, and we'll pick up back where we left off.
Okay, how about that?
Yep. That is perfect. That is perfect. So yeah, to pick up where we left off, I think I lost you right around when you were talking about your new coach coming in that ended up being the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, and he recognized that I can run routes, I can catch the ball, and so they wound up featuring the offense around me, and I was like, wow. They just
Yeah.
kept throwing it and kept throwing it, and I'm like, this is right up my alley. And so yeah, and so that wound up working out pretty well for me. Like I said, I led the nation in receiving my senior year, and but it didn't help me in the draft.
Yeah.
They said I was a victim of a passing offense, and I had bad knees, which I never in my
Mm.
life had bad knees. So I didn't get drafted until the eighth round,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That was
hi-
back. How many rounds was there when you got
12,
drafted?
12.
Gotcha.
So my thing, listen, my thing is, I'm thinking, how can you lead the nation and be the 22nd receiver taken in the draft? And I'm like, wow. But they were like, yeah. One of the doctors put out that you had bad knees, and I'm thinking, man, what is that about? And so, I get drafted by Cincinnati. I go to Cincinnati with a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
I go to Cincinnati, but I wasn't arrogant about it. I'm a confident person, but I'm never arrogant. I'm not going to throw it in your face that I'm the man. But in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. So I go
Mm-hmm.
to minicamp, and I said I was going to prove that, I should have been drafted higher. And I remember they drafted Ray Horton with the second pick, defensive back. And every time I went up against Ray, Ray's my guy. I love Ray, man. Ray has done great stuff. But I said I'm gonna show them my abilities compared to their number two pick in the draft. And I went after everyone, just dominating them. And
Yeah.
and then Dick LeBeau, who was the defense coordinator at the time, he said, Mike, I would love to see what you do with the when the veterans come in. I said, Coach, I'm looking forward to it. Lewis Breeden, Ken Riley, Hall of Famer, may he rest in peace. All those guys, man. I went up against them, man, and I did my thing. And they were like, "Wow, this dude actually can play." And I had a
There we
7 year
go.
career, man. I had a 7 year career, and hurt a lot. I was hurt a lot. Now, what's crazy? I was hurt a lot, but it had nothing to do with my knees.
Of course, man. Of course
Right.
it didn't.
No, I've never had a knee injury. I've had all kind of other injuries, but never a knee injury. And so, um, someone asked me, was I pleased with my career? You know what? I was an NFL football player for 7 years. Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with my career.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's something that I stress a lot nowadays, especially working with the agency that I work with now. And every year with our draft class, there's a few that make it. There's a few that play in the Canadian Football League. There's a few in the Indoor Football League. And something that I'm always stressing to them is when you're able to play football, you're playing a kid's game, and you're getting paid to do it at any level. You're winning, man. You are absolutely in the winner circle. So yeah, I agree, man. I don't know how you could say anything after a 7 year career, but other than I'm glad and happy about it.
Yeah, yeah. It
There
was
we go.
it was one of those deals where, growing up where I grew up in the projects of Washington D.C., and that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. If I'm not mistaken, I think there was a guy played basketball who wound up went going to the pros. But of all the people that lived in the housing projects, I think it was only two that actually became professionals. And my thing was, I knew it was going to have to come from hard work, dedicating myself, pushing myself. The biggest thing is getting an opportunity to go to college. I knew that
Hmm.
I had to handle myself in the classroom and all of that. And it worked out, man. It really did. And I must say so myself. I pat myself on the back for overcoming so many, obstacles in my life.
As you should, as you should. It's always I always say again that when I think about professional athletes, it doesn't matter what sport it is. For me, I can have such an appreciation and respect for what they did, because I know just each and every journey is so different and brings its own challenges. And for you to get there and do what you did and to continue to make the impact that you do in the communities all over the place, you should be giving yourself plenty of pats on the back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so then you finish your career with the Bengals, and then you do some stuff in Cincinnati. You do some entrepreneurship and stuff in Cincinnati. But then the big thing was in 2003, if I'm correct. You take over the Taft football program, and you're tasked with bringing them back to glory. And I can say I saw it firsthand after being a water boy for you all for a few seasons
Yeah,
and
that's
celebrating with you
right.
all.
That's
Yep.
right. I forgot about that.
I'll never forget it because the
You were
whole
on the
team had
side.
me on
You were
their
on the side.
shoulders.
Yeah, you were on the sideline in the beginning. Wow, that's right. That's right. But no, actually, I think it was either 2001, 2002,
Okay.
and
Okay.
um, they canceled football the year before because they had 5 guys come off of the team, so they canceled
Oh.
football. And
Oh.
so the principal somehow, because I was coaching my son Marcus in youth football, I was coaching Marcus in youth football, and I got the bug. I'm like, I enjoy this. So I was talking to a
Yeah.
friend, and somehow he goes to the principal, tells the principal, um, "Hey, Mike Martin used to play for the Bengals, may be interested in coaching." And so the principal, you never been, but your mom has. I used to throw parties. I used to
Yep.
always throw,
Yep.
I used to throw parties. I had clubs. The
Yep.
principal shows up at one of the parties looking for me.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm thinking, I thought something happened. Hey, this guy would like to see you at the front door. He pays, comes in. Hey, Mike Martin. I said, yeah. He said, I understand you looking to do some high school coaching. I said, it could be possible. I like to check it out. He said, well, I got a situation for you over at Taft High School. He said, if you want the job, it's yours. I said, there's no, uh, I don't meet with anybody. I don't have, he said, no, if you want the job, it's yours. So took, he, he said, can you come by on Monday? And I went by, he said, and we did a tour through the school, first time in the school, walked around, I'm like, okay. The bell rings, the people come out, and the kids come out in the hallway, and a mass brawl breaks out. They are fighting everywhere. It was something they must have had planned. I'm in the middle breaking up fights on my first visit to Taft High School.
Oh, wow.
And so
That's
the,
quite the first
the,
day.
the principal apologizes. He was like, hey, man, I apologize. He said, I understand if this is not for you. I said, oh, no, 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 hold on. I said, I'll take it. He said, really? I said, this right up my alley. I grew up around stuff like this. I said, now I'm going to be the change. I said, you watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the change of these kids' attitudes and the community's attitudes. And, that's exactly what happened. Got in there, man. I started making kids believe, that there's more to life than what goes on in their household or in their neighborhood every day, because that was me. I
Yeah.
always felt like there was something more to life than what I saw every day. And so I said I was going to go find it. And I said I wanted to teach these kids that they can believe in things themselves and go after it. And man, I am so proud of these guys, man. I grew up without my father in the household. My father, not only he wasn't living with me, he and my mother got divorced, I think when I was 6. I believe I was 6. And he died when I was 9. And my thing was, uh, I want to make sure that these kids understand that there's a man now that's going to be in their life, and that I was going to be the father figure that a lot of them didn't have. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I start having my kids, I felt the same way. I have to be the father that I would have always wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like that to this day. I'll be in
You are,
the
and you are.
I'll
I
be
can
I,
attest to that.
I'll be in the grocery store. As a matter of fact, this is the honest truth. It happened yesterday. I'm in the grocery store, and this little kid is he's sitting in the grocery cart, and he just going crazy. just crying. Mom was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. So I walk over to him. I said, hey, 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 what's all the noise about? And he looked at me like, he stopped crying, but he looked at me. He's like he wanted to say, who are you? You're not
Yeah.
my daddy. You're not my
Yeah.
daddy. Why you hit? And so he stopped crying. And I said, man, you a big boy. I said, you know, enjoy your ride today. I said, I wish I can get in that cart. And the mom was like, thank you. Thank you. And they pulled off. And the next time he saw me, in the grocery store again, in the next aisle, I pointed at him like, okay, all right, we don't want to hear no mess. And he started smiling. And the mom was like, can you come home with us? He said, please come home with us. But yeah, but let me tell you this. Another part of the reason why I'm to this day, I'm still involved with the kids is my son Marcus, who passed away 12 years ago. He always told me, Dad, we got to help the kids. We got to make sure they understand everything that you talked about, letting them see that there is more to life than what they see every day. So he was bringing kids home almost every weekend. He would bring up, he started driving and he was like piling kids up in his car. Hey, Dad, I got some guys coming over this weekend. I was like, okay, all right, Marcus.
All
And
right.
yeah, so but his thing was, because he wound up going to Taft, which is another long story that it probably take a few a few hours to get into. But he wound up going to Taft and he played under me. And my wife wasn't totally sure about how he would blend in with everybody. And I said, Michelle, he's me. He's a
Hmm.
little me. He would be
Hmm.
fine. And he came in and he was fine, man. He literally blended in well with the guys. And when he passed away, they were so hurt. All those guys, they were so hurt because he was like their brother. They were
Hmm.
losing a brother. And I remember them calling me in disbelief. And I had to tell him, yeah, it's real, man. Mark is gone. And so um, when I was doing camps and stuff in Cincinnati, and man, pretty much all the guys that I coached would come out and they would bring their kids. They were some of the greatest dads you will ever meet. And the first thing they told me was, hey, Coach Martin, we got it from you and Marcus. We
There you
understood
go, man.
y'all relationship. We understood.
Yeah.
We didn't understand why he would kiss you all the time when he would leave, and they would ask him, "Man, why you kissing Coach? Why you kissing Coach?" It's like, man, that's my
Hmm.
pop. But I
Yeah.
but I had to tell Marcus they didn't have that, so they don't know what that's like. And so today, man, all I do is I'm all about the kids, man. And look now I'm about the kids and the girls, helping all of them too.
Yep. There we go, man. That's so awesome that you're able to see all of that stuff come full circle. And again, I've been able to be firsthand witness to
Yes.
your ability to look out for people. I remember when I was struggling at my new school and my coaches weren't giving me the adequate playing time or chances in basketball, and I remember you showed up and all those coaches and dads in that gym were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Is that his dad? Is that his
Yeah.
dad?"
Hey, listen, I went to those coaches and I don't know if I knew them, but they knew who I was.
Yeah,
And
they
I
did.
went and I went over to them and they was like, "Hey, Mike, what you doing, man?" I said, "I'm here to watch my nephew, man." He said, "Where's your nephew?" I said, over there right there. I said, "How's he doing?" "Oh, he's doing good. He's doing good." Next thing I know, you out on the court doing your thing.
Getting buckets too. That
Yes,
whole rest of the season, they was giving me the
yes.
ball.
That's
So
crazy.
I've seen that firsthand. I've seen your impact with the camps. I love every year when I'm able to stop by and check it out and see what you guys are
Yeah.
up to with those camps and see all the joy and the just so much amazing stuff being radiated around the people around there. That's such a really cool and fulfilling way to look at things. As like you said, you've been through a lot, but you still keep coming out on the good side of things and doing what you can to
Every
help out
day,
the
man.
people in the community. There we
Every
go.
day,
There we go.
every
That
day. My wife is right there with me every day, man. We're figuring out ways to improve not only our lives, but anybody else's life that we touch. And
mm-hmm.
right now, like I said, I'm able to see some of these kids who's gone through our programs that are now playing tackle football, which is a blessing, man. I go to their games, like I told you, I'm sitting up in the stands. I'm like, look at this dude. He out here playing for real, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Dropping his
yeah,
shoulder, making shifty moves, all the good
yes,
stuff.
all of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what is something that is like, if say you have a goal, is there a goal in the next like year or two with something with the girls flag football, with youth football in general? Is there something that you have a goal of over this next year or two?
Well, one of the goals right now is to make the girls that I'm coaching make them competitive. My
Mm-hmm.
understanding was that last year I think they won 5 games or something like that and lost 13, something crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and the morale was low, and so I'm trying to get in their heads that we're going to win. We're going to be good, but my thing is if we're competitive every game and we put the right group of girls together, that's going to be not only a big accomplishment for me, but a major accomplishment for the school. And like I said, it's an all girls Catholic school, and they're big in soccer. Soccer is everything. They won state titles. They go to championships almost every other year, and
That's what I
football.
was gonna ask. I was gonna
Yeah,
ask if you having the flag football team and having a soccer team, if you have to deal with rivaling the athletes that want to go play soccer or football,
yeah.
because
Well,
that's the biggest thing with the school that I work at is too many of them play soccer.
right. What happens is most of the girls they go out for not. I'm sorry, not soccer. Volleyball is volleyball, not
Gotcha,
soccer. Volleyball. A lot of
gotcha,
the
gotcha,
girls, a
gotcha,
lot of
gotcha.
girls go out for volleyball, and then once they get cut, then they come over. They come over to flag. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
I
but
got
they're
you.
great athletes. They can only keep a certain amount of girls on volleyball, and
Absolutely.
so I like we look. We'll take them. We'll take them.
Yeah, yeah. You're an athlete. Come on out. Come on down.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool. So then, okay, so the whole premise of this whole podcast is I really want to highlight a bunch of different journeys of athletes that work in sports or people who weren't athletes that are working in sports and how they're making it into a career and something that, really makes them feel really good, because I feel like so many people that work in sports love working in sports because it doesn't feel like work to them because they feel so passionate about it. So, one thing that I've also noticed is a struggle for some people is when they are an athlete in college, they think that if they're not an athlete anymore, they can't be attached to that sport. If they're not coaching or being an athlete, they think that they can't do anything with that. But you found a lot of different ways to be involved, whether that was camps, coaching, administrative stuff. What would be some of your advice to an athlete that's, they see their football or basketball career ending and they think that they don't have any shot of staying connected to that sport?
One of the things that they have to do is they have to find their passion,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's hard. It's hard to do that. But a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times you're able to find it if you talk about things that you like and things that you think you would want to get up in the morning and go do every day. Some people can't stand their jobs because it's not their
Mm-hmm.
passion. They just trying to make a living. My thing is, if you want to really go after something that you enjoy, then make it happen. Figure out how to make it happen. Talk to people. I do a lot of public speaking, and when I talk to these kids, I ask them, who wants to do this, who wants to do that, and then it's like, how you going to get there? What's going to allow you to get to where you want to go? And some of them don't know, and I say that's when you need to go talk to somebody and ask them, this is what I'm trying to do. How can I get there? But if you
Mm-hmm.
find your passion and I realized all my life, ever since I was a little kid, helping people was my passion, and just so happens I connected it to football. I connected it to throwing events, having parties, and putting a smile on everybody's face. That's my passion, and
Yeah.
and I'm blessed to the point that I'm able to do it. I'm going on 66 years old right now, and so,
66
look,
years young. Years
yeah,
young.
tell my body that. I'm still at a point in my life where I can still get out, I can still teach, I can still, run a little bit, not that much, but I'm able to, just put some nuggets in a lot of these kids' ears about figuring out what there is in life that they would like to do and go after it. But I stress this: if you don't have the answers, talk to somebody who does, and they can help point you in the right direction.
There we go. I feel like that's another thing that we really need to emphasize this day and age, especially with the younger audience listening to this show. You guys need to speak to people. You need to build those connections, build those network. There's nothing more authentic than having a face to face conversation with somebody and really getting to know about why they do what they do, how they got to where they are. This is what it's all about. When you are able to talk to people and absorb more things, you're able to take yourself to heights that you didn't see possible.
You know what's interesting? I remember I spoke at an event, and I always like to know if the people in the audience, understood where I was coming from. And
Mm-hmm.
the guy who was involved with the event, he said, Mike, he said, always remember this. He said, if you get one person out of that crowd that takes to heart everything you said, he said, that's a win for you. And I said, oh, no, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 you're wrong. You're wrong. If I got a crowd of 250 people and only one, I reach one, I got to change my
Mm-hmm.
message. I'm changing
Mm-hmm.
my message because there's no way that I'm going to sit up in here for 45 minutes talking about something and only one person, I only reached one person. I had to change my message. And I'm sure you probably heard people say if you just get one person, that's a win.
I
For
have heard
me,
that before. Yeah.
for me, no, that's not a win for me. If I got a room
Yeah.
full of people, only one of them, understood what I was saying, I got to change my message.
I agree. I honestly, I do like that perspective a lot better because I've definitely had moments where I've done some speaking, whether it was for Soul Bros, whether it was to a swim team and being the guest speaker for their championship event or something. And I agree. There's been moments where it felt like I only got one person, and then somebody's like, that's a win, and I'm like, in my head, I didn't debate it in the moment, but in my head, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I needed to change how I went about that, and then I change it for the next one, and I see an effect. So yeah, I honestly really do agree with that one, and I think that's really powerful in a sense that
And again,
it's
and
useful.
again, that's just my philosophy. That's how I feel.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So to end it on a good note, let's go back to your time as a football player. I want you to tell me your favorite memory as a football player, and then your favorite memory coaching the children.
Okay. This is easy. My favorite memory as a football player. It was the last game of the season. We win the game, and then somebody else had to lose. We're in the playoffs. Um,
Yeah,
at the time, I'm the leading punt returner in the NFL, and
yeah,
so they were saying that um, all I had to do was go out and fair catch everything, and I win the title. And I'm like,
yeah,
but for the first time that I can remember, actually, it never happened while I was there. They introduced the special teams, and they saved me for last.
yeah,
And when they called my name and they said the leading punt returner in the NFL, the place went crazy. The whole state, and back then we always had sellouts. The
yeah.
whole the whole stadium stood up, and this was the first time that whole season that the entire team came over, because normally when they introducing people, the quarterback, and they go over and they throw, and the kicker go over and kick, and punter go. The
Mm-hmm.
whole team greeted me as I came out the locker room, and I was so in awe of that event. It almost numbed me, and I had to get myself together. And I'm like, okay, I got a game to play. I can't,
Yeah.
I can't get swallowed up in this event. I got to get, and you know what? I almost broke two for a touchdown. One time,
Ooh.
one time, uh, I ran back. The kicker, he out kicked his coverage, and I had to run and get it. And when I caught it like over the shoulder, and I had to turn around. And when I turned around, it was like the Red Sea had just parted. I just ran straight up the middle, and I got tripped up. I got tripped up by the punter. I got tripped up by the punter. He was the last. I saw the
Golly.
end zone. He was the last person there, and I got tripped up by the punter. And I just
Ain't that
laid there on the
something?
ground. It's funny because I was watching it on YouTube, and I just laid there on the ground. And the whole punt return team came over and hit me, and they grabbed me and picked me up. And when I went to the sideline, everybody was hitting me on my head, like, "Come on, man, you let the punter
Come on,
tackle
Mike.
you." That would have been 80 something yards. That would have been an 82-yard punt
Ooh.
return. But
Ooh
then,
wee. Ooh wee.
but what I did though is, instead of just fair catching and keeping my average, I increased my average. I went from 14.3 to 15.7. And I should have made the Pro Bowl. They took Lewis Lips from the Steelers because he ran back
Ugh.
one on Monday night. That Monday night after that game, that was the last game of the season. And they took Lewis Lips. I was like, Lewis Lips. I said, no, nobody was over 13 yards per game. I had
Yeah.
15.7. And they took Lewis Lips to the
Sheesh.
Pro Bowl. I said, oh,
Ain't
man.
that something, man? There we go. That's why we
Yeah.
still don't like the Steelers.
But the one with coaching the youth, Marcus, his team was playing in the championship, and they played at. I was coaching his team. They played at Riverfront Stadium, where I played,
Mm-hmm.
and Marcus. If we would have won, I think it was a close game. We lost. I forgot about how many points, but if we would have won, Marcus would have been MVP. When I
Uh-huh.
tell you, he was everywhere playing middle linebacker, littlest dude on the field. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
I said, Marcus, first play of the game. I said, Marcus, we're gonna blitz you. Go get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We blitzed him. He beat the center. He knocked this ball out the quarterback's hand, and he picked it up, and he came running to the sideline. Dad, here's the ball. Here- here's the
You like
ball.
run?
Right? Yeah. I
You like
said, there you
run?
go. Yeah. I said, that's what I'm talking about, man. And he was just a joy. After the game, I had a party that night. After the game, I go sit in the parking lot, and I must have cried for about 20 minutes. After the game, he's just smiling, happy. We lost, but he was always a happy dude, man. Always happy. I'm thinking my son played on the same professional football field that I played on.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the greatest. Honestly, that probably was the best. Even what happened to me in pro football, that was
Yeah.
the biggest sports moment of my life. Watching my son play on the field that I played on.
That is so amazing, and honestly, I can't imagine a better way to wrap this up. Honestly, so thank you so much, Coach Mike, for taking this time. As you mentioned, Marcus, throughout this episode, I'm sure he is super proud of your continued success and work with the kids, and he lives through you and all of us. And shout out to Marcus, man, what a guy, what a goat.
Always,
So thank
always.
you again. We really appreciate you. I'll tell my mom you said what up.
I was
Ball
going to say,
Talk
man,
listeners.
tell your mom I love her.
Yeah, sir. We'll do. We'll do. She knows she working like always. But again, thank you so much, Ball Talk listeners. I hope you guys really enjoyed having the Cincinnati legend on. He has so much knowledge and stories that you guys did just got the tease.
I need to write. I need to write a book. I need to write a book.
Yeah.
I got so much
Hey, you
stuff.
do.
I didn't even get into all the craziness that happened at Taft. I ain't even getting it.
No, and that's something again. Hey, next time you get a little moment, we can hop on. We can talk a lot, all exclusively about Taft, because Taft is, especially right now, Taft is on the up. You really did change that culture. They have some really serious ball players coming out.
That was the plan. That was the plan.
Yeah.
Wanted everybody to start coming to Taft. Yep.
Yeah, I literally have to go to a few Taft games this year because I'm scouting a few of them. Like, there are a few that I'm like, I need to go see those guys play because they got some legit talent over there.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you again. Thank you to all my listeners. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back soon with another episode. I believe I have another former Bengal hopping on next week for us. So we're just going to keep this Cincinnati legend thing going on. So thank you again, Mike, and listeners, Ball Talk out.
All right, man.